Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Dhanavat Pranam devotees. So I am trying to, I'm just recuperating obviously from being under the weather. And I want to thank many devotees who helped in many ways, especially by prayers and so forth and so on. And of course, I always want to thank my wonderful wife who helped me in so many ways during this time. And I guess I now have the fortune to offer her some service. She's a very wonderful Vaishnavi. I feel very blessed that Guru and Gauranga have placed her in my life to help me in my bhajan, sadhan, and so forth, so on. But now she's a little under the weather, so I have to return the favor lovingly. But I got very much behind, obviously, on many questions that came into the inbox, and I'm trying to catch up on them now. I did do my regular Sunday Zoom class yesterday, and I thought perhaps I would try to merge the two things and answer some of those questions, but I did not have a Sunday Zoom class on Gaura Purnanim. There was a great program that we had here locally, and my Guru Bhai was present, and I wanted to spend time with him. So I did not have a program on Gaura Purnanim itself. So I felt the inspiration to just kind of speak some of the glories of Gaura Katha, and that ended up dominating the entire time period of our class yesterday. I don't at all think to any detriment. I think rather to an inspiration, at least for myself, to remember our Guru Varga's Harikatha regarding Sriman Mahaprabhu, and especially the nature of prem, because prem is the objective of bhakti. So we began by discussing that prem is the objective, not just to get freedom from material suffering or liberation, not even to have the darshan of Sri Krishna, but we want Krishna Prem Seva. And this is a very unique gift that Sriman Mahaprabhu brought to the world. Anapita chirim chirat karunavati nakalo sumutpaitam unnata ujvala rasa swabhakti sriyam. So, in particularly, he brought not only the ability to render service to the love of Shri Radha Krishna Yugal, but the emphasis on the speciality of that mood, which is called Radha Dasyam or Palyadasi Bhav, or Manjari Bhav commonly. And it is such a glorious gift. I spoke at length on the nature of prem itself, because by understanding something of the nature of prem, Bhagavat prem, then you can understand how glorious is the gift of awarding seva to that Bhagavat prem. So the link for that class is on my page, and I wanted to try to then today catch up on some of the questions that had come in. Some of them are sort of follow-up questions. I'm opening them now to something I either spoke earlier or from, in one case, a post that I made. So let me try to go ahead and do that. So, one question was, a person asked, how is the relationship with Sri Guru eternal if you just met Guru in this life? So, now, and the follow-up to what they were saying was, does that mean that from this point on, the relationship is eternal, because we don't have any memory of meeting them previously. So if we've met Guru in this life, we can consciously experience that, and therefore going forward, it's an eternal relationship. But actually, this is not completely accurate. It's explained by Krishna to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita that many, many lives, both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O Arjuna. So our situation is very similar. That it could have been many, 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 many lifetimes ago that we came in contact with Sadguru. And our process of maturation over those many, many lifetimes has culminated in whatever stage of bhakti we have unfolded to in this particular iteration. So it's not that that in the particular lifetime that we're conscious of the experience of meeting Guru is the first time we've actually met Guru. And then moreover, that begs the question, then is the relationship with Guru that particular person, or is it a principle? In other words, from one life to another, have I encountered the principle called Guru, and that the individual person that I met is just a particular passing phenomenon in the series of the principle called Guru? So of course, I've heard various arguments on that, but we take our cues from our Guru Vargas. Sri Narottam Das Thakur has sung about Lokanath Goswami, Chakodhan Diloye, Janami Janami Prabhu Se. That directly to Lokanath Swami, you are my Lord and Master birth after birth. So the relationship with Guru should not be seen as simply a principle, and therefore in each life we may encounter that principle. So actually we should think, once we've met Sadguru, that is an eternal relationship that was garnered from the very first meeting. Brahmanda Brahmati Konna Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Poi Bhakti Lata Bij. That meeting was arranged due to the Bhakti Unmukhi Sukritis and Kripa, which induced the Guru and Krishna Prasad, means the mercy of that Guru and Shri Krishna, that encounter with us took place in some lifetime. In that lifetime, the nature of our growth may have come to a certain point. Therefore, in the next iteration, we will pick up from that point at a certain period in life. Bhakti samskars will stimulate remembrance, and again we will pick up the path. According to where we leave off, it will happen in the next iteration, next iteration, next iteration, until Bhakti becomes mature. And when Bhakti becomes mature, at that point there will be true realization of the Sambandhit Gyan that's given by Guru. And it's at that point that the Sishya then develops the ability to see Sri Guru beyond the purview of just their, in that life space, contact, but they see the eternality of Guru both past and present. So by seeing Guru past means one can understand by indication and by sastra that the relationship that I have with this person was not garnered in one lifetime, but actually was the byproduct of previous bhakti samskars in some life. Jiva Goswami Pad, in commenting on one verse in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami Pad has raised the question, what is the cause of a particular type of inclination towards serving Krishna in a particular aspirant? Because he first mentioned Yatottaram, Yatottaram Ashwada Viseshu Lashmayepi. That what causes that when we look at the different rasas which one may have with Krishna, Yatottaram means we see by neutral position that Madhurya rasa is superior. Obviously, it's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita and throughout Shastra, whatever rasa a particular devotee develops mature lobe or greed for, and ultimate realization for, is fully satisfying to that devotee. But in Ramananda Samvad, it's been analyzed that all of the rasas, they exist in Madhurya rasa, not in function, but in principle, just as all of the elements preceding earth exist in it. Like water, fire, air, ether all exist in earth. In the same way, all rasa exist in Madhurya rasa. So, from a neutral position, therefore, it says tatastha vicharle, Madhurya rasa is seen as superior. Not according to individual taste, but according to a neutral observation. So he says, if that's the case, though, what then determines, what determines the particular ulas in a particular feeling? Ulas means inclination or lobe or greed towards a particular feeling of serving. How does that arise in a particular jiva? So then he says, Rati Vasana. Rati Vasana means by previous sanskars. In other words, by previous impressions, a particular inclination of service arises in a devotee. Right? So, Praktakanaduni Chasti Yatsad Bhakti Vasana. So, the previous bhakti samskars, much like our karma samskars, they operate on their own track. Just like we have material impressions from previous lives, and those material impressions, karmana, daivana, trena, janto, deva, papatye, they culminate in a particular upadi, means like a particular designated package within the material arena. Our bhakti samskars are on their own track, and in whatever particular karmic portfolio we find ourselves with, and particular upadi or designation of family, culture, etc. we find ourselves in, those bhakti samskars will come to bear at their time of maturation, and they will inspire again the picking up of the process from wherever it is that we left off. You understand? So Jiva Goswami Pad, when he was analyzing that, he ascertained certainly that if it was not for an impression coming, a particular impression, then it would not be possible to conclude why a person has a particular inclination. He said, if there were no impressions, then no particular inclination could arise because there's no impression of it. If you had multiple impressions, then the multiple impressions would create a kind of cacophony, for lack of a better word, which would produce rasavas. It means it would produce conflicting aspirational ideals, and you would not be able to conclude what particular feeling you actually have. So he said it comes from one particular kind of impression. He does not, in his commentary there on that verse, go on to say the source of that impression. But Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakurpad, in his commentary, he mentions, yes, it is certainly due to impressions which were acquired. Jiva Goswami even mentioned this, that this impression was acquired in a lifetime you cannot trace out when. You understand? You can't trace out. So you can't say, was it 3 lifetimes ago, 10 lifetimes ago? So not much credence is given to trying to track the source, but we know it's an impression. You understand? But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur affirms this impression has come from contact with the devotee having that similar mood. You understand? So, the relationship with Guru, we cannot trace out when it began, but it becomes in maturation the source of the mature perspective we have on how we want to serve Mahaprabhu Shishiyada Krishna Yugal. You understand? So we cannot say the relationship is simply within this life experience, but that's the past. What about the future eternality of the relationship with Guru? Well, we say many prayers, including in our daily Guru Ashtakam, Nikunja Yunarati Keli Siddhai, Yarali Bir Yuktira Pekshaniya, Tattavadi Daksharati Valavasya, Vande Guru Shicharanadavindu. We're offering Dandavat Pranam to Shri Guru, who we see as the intimate Nikunja Sevak of the divine couple. So if I'm seeing that my Guru has this particular position, And if you follow the dhyan, means the meditation of Guru Astakam, it is a mood of being saved by Guru, being then attached by heart, body, mind, everything to Guru, and then Guru introducing one to Goa Lila, Guru introducing one into the Sadak and Siddha Seva of Sri Radhakrishna Yugal, coming to the point of mature greed or ruchi, by Chaturvidashi Bhagavat Prasad, tasting Bhagavan's Prasad in 4 kinds of ways, means tasting Lila Madhuri, Rupa Madhuri, Prem Parikar Madhuri, and let me see, Lila Madhuri, Rupa Madhuri, Venu Madhuri, and Prem Parikar Madhuri. Tasting these 4 kinds of Chatur Madhuri means 4 kinds of special qualities and sweetnesses of Krishna, coming to the point of being able to taste that. It means via the Leela of Krishna and via the associates of Krishna. You understand? So many deep things are in Guru Ashtakam. We have to do deep meditation to draw those things out. So then introducing that Sri Radhikaya Madhavyadapada Madhujalila Guna Rupnanam Pratikshana Dhana Lulupasha. That every pratikshana means like a fraction of time. In that very fraction of a time, Lulupas, I have deep desire. My Gurudev, right, reflecting my own heart's aspiration, has deep desire for the service of Shri Radha Madhav, right, in their Apara Lila. Their transcendental aprakat, transcendent Shringara Ras. Guru has deep aspiration for this. And the aspirant is saying, yes, by attachment to the lotus feet of my Shri Guru, I also want that attachment. Gurudev then reveals himself as Nikunja Yuno Rati Keli Siddha. Nikunja Yuno Rati Keli Siddha Sevak. You understand? So, we have aspiration for serving Guru beyond also the idea of being freed by the association with Guru just from the material bondage, etc. We have aspiration for eternal service. Shri Radha Sanmukha Sangsaktim, Saki Gana Nivasanim, Satatam Tamaham Vande, Shri Guru Purupa Param Sakim, Shri Guru Rupa Param Sakim. That I have deep aspiration in the eternality of my relation with Guru. I will see my Guru as Param Saki. You understand? His Param Saki Roop means his transcendent Roop as a Manjari in whom I am serving with. You understand? So the relationship with Guru has the eternal thread of both past, present, and into our aspirational ideal goal that we're searching for, all the way into that deep future. So no, the relationship with Guru is not acquired only in one lifetime and is a one lifetime experience, or it is acquired in one lifetime and then it becomes eternal, so forth, so on. No, there is a past. It could be, I'm acknowledging here, that it may be a person's introduction to the samskar. But in general, when there's an introduction to the samskara given by Guru, it will not raise to the point of taking to the practice, especially not being able to take to the practice in a mature way. It could be, but it is more rare. You understand? So normally that comes over the course of maturation from many lifetimes of sadhan bhajan, etc., etc. You understand? Sometimes devotees will say, no, you meet Guru and you can go back to Godhead even in this one lifetime. Guru Kripa cannot be estimated. It is certainly possible. But all the acharyas have mentioned is extremely, extremely rare. Normally, our siddha is obtained, means our perfection is obtained by sadhan bhajan. Now, in maturation, one will think, Yarichir Rajavasam Saragam Pratijanur. Raghunath Goswami is written in Manasiksha that we will not think, oh, yes, I only have to obtain my siddhi in this one lifetime. But to obtain such a high goal, Yarichir Brajavasam Saragam, to obtain the service of the divine couple in Braj, such a high aspiration, Pratijano, one should be prepared to accept life after life if necessary to obtain that goal. But the attitude is practicing with very deep diligence in each life, then Krishna's mercy is so wonderful. Krishna will not say, oh yeah, just suffer life after life. You understand? But the attitude should be like this. You understand? So the idea of is the relationship with Guru eternal, meaning my same Guru was my Guru previously in a previous life and is my Guru in the future? The answer is yes. So there are many nuances to this. I explained a little bit of it yesterday, that Guru has two features, Diksha Guru and Siksha Guru. In many cases, the Diksha Guru is the Shiksha Guru. It also happens in many cases, right? But sometimes it is that the Diksha Guru becomes the person who puts one on the path of bhakti and gives the shelter of parampara. And it could be that Siksha Guru becomes the prominent inspiration in their desire for a particular mood of service and the perfectional attainment of that seva. You understand? So it may come from Siksha Guru. Just like we see in the case of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his Diksha Guru was Bipin Bihari Goswami, but he himself gave prominence to Jagannath Das Babaji in terms of his inspiration. You understand? Bhaktivinoda Thakur was the eternal associate, but in terms of his teaching regarding this Diksha and Shiksha Guru, we see this relationship. Similarly, Shaimananda Pandit, who was formerly Dukhi Krishna, was a disciple of Hridoy Chaitanya, who was a disciple of Gauridas Pandit. Hridoy Chaitanya was in Sakya Rasa, you understand? But the inner inclination of Shaimananda, who was actually Kanak Manjari, was in Madhurya Rasa. So Hridoy Chaitanya sent him to have the Siksha of Srila Jiva Goswami Pad. You understand? And in the association of Jiva Goswami Pad, he, in the course of this lila, realizes his siddhi as Kanaka Manjari. You understand? So sometimes Shiksha Guru may be the prominent person in the unfoldment of that inner aspiration. You understand? Sometimes Diksha Guru is Shiksha Guru. Understand? So hopefully, Didi, this answered your question regarding how you should view the relationship with Sri Guru. And therefore, this brings up another very unique thing, which will lead into some other things. We should then be very careful about how we assess whom people take initiation from. You understand? Because if this relationship is something that is an eternal relationship, you cannot play politics with it. You cannot say, well, if you took initiation here, you're in that group, and then he took initiation here, he's in that group, and then he's on this team, and he or she is on that team, right? Because now you're interfering with eternal dynamics. You understand? Whom a person ends up in a genuine guru-disciple relationship with is actually a transcendent principle. It's not a mundane thing. And if you start to assess material qualities to that, it becomes tantamount to aparad. You understand? So we want to be very careful with that you don't look at people according to their relationship to Sadguru, right? So I'm not going down a track here. There are many nuances here. You understand? If the person is generally Sadguru or not. You understand? And this comes into institutional dynamics. Did you take from a guru in that institution, this institution? If you play these kind of political games, then you will inevitably commit aparad. You understand? Therefore, always see any Vaishnav according to their Vaishnavata. Never try to make a judgment according to who is guru. You understand? Because if you try to assess according to whom they've taken initiation from, then you were interfering with the dynamics of the bhakti sanskars, the eternality of that relationship as I just explained it, and you will end up committing Vaishnava aparad. There is no question. Right? So this is just another consideration in the whole dynamic of understanding the eternality of the relationship between Guru and Sishya. Obviously, if a relationship between Guru and disciple reveals that it was not Sadguru, or the Sishya was not Sad Sishya, then there are different dynamics at play here, right? But the overarching sastra, instructional, all these things is what I have described, right? The next question is, that Mahaprabhu says everything is in Harinam, why did he not emphasize Diksha? So we cannot say that Sriman Mahaprabhu did not emphasize Diksha, because Mahaprabhu himself, by example, took Diksha. You understand? He took Diksha from Ishwara Puripad. Ishwara Puripad took Diksha from Madhavinda Puripad, who took Diksha from Lakshmipati Tirtha. So we cannot say Mahaprabhu didn't emphasize Diksha but gave emphasis to Harinam. You understand? He emphasized Diksha by his own practice and showing us how bhakti is done. Guru Pada Sraya means Guru Pada Sraya tata Diksha Shikshari Vishwambena Guru Seva. Right? So we cannot say Mahaprabhu did not emphasize Diksha. Emphasis on Harinam here means emphasis on the fact that Harinam is both the goal and the means. The Diksha mantras give relation to Harinam. Harinam is the substance. It is both the Adi and the end. It is the beginning and the end. You understand? The Diksha mantras, they give relationship to Harinam. Understand? Just as Jiva Goswami Pad mentioned, that if you want to cook, there are many corollary things that have to go on. You have to go to the kitchen, bring firewood, start a fire. A byproduct of starting a fire is that the room will become heated, so forth, so on. But the ultimate goal is cooking. You bring rice, and you put the rice in the pot, you have the water, but it has to be cooked, to be digested. In the same way, Shri Harinam is everything. Nam nam akari bauda nija savashakti. Everything is in Harinam. Even the highest goal, Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Ras Vigraha. It is the very life of Ras. It is the very form, Vigraha of Ras. Purasara Nitya Mukta. It is always and completely pure. So even when Harinam descends to the lowest level, the purity of Harinam stays intact. And it brings the impure entity to the point of purity. At the same time, Nitya Mukta. It is forever free from any kind of material inebriety. And it always operates in the realm of the liberated. So it brings the unliberated to the liberated position. But more than that, it bestows prema. Chiraratadam nija gupta vitam swanama premamritya atyudara. It gives premamrit. So Mahaprabhu gave emphasis to the glory of Harinam on so many different levels. Understand? Harinam is everything. Harinam is Ashtakali Lila. Harinam is the root of Radha and Krishna. Harinam, if you understand very deeply how prema works, you will see that Harinam goes all the way from 32 akshar. I've mentioned this, I'm not repeating the whole thing here. 32 akshar to 16 names to 8 yugul. In 8 yugul, you'll realize the indispensability of Radha and Krishna always being together, but being nourished by separation. And therefore, throughout the 8 periods of the day, the yugul experience meeting and separation. You understand? It's actually in the mantra itself. The culmination of their praying is when, what is it? Chaitanyakyam prakritam aduni chayakyam aktam. When both Radha and Krishna, who are eternally one, Radha Krishna chayi sada eki swarup, lila ras asudite dari rup, they've eternally manifested two forms only to taste this speciality of lila rasa. You understand? And therefore they take in these two positions of Asraya and Vishaya. Radhika's Asraya, Krishna is Vishaya. Right? In order to taste ras, these are the ingredients of rasa. I'm not going through everything here. But at the end, you understand, in the sequel, the Parishishta Lila, to Krishna Lila's Gaur Lila, and in that Gaur Lila, Chaitanyakyam Prakritam Tat Aduna Chayakyam Aptam. Now again they've obtained oneness. What is this oneness? It is when prema has reached its pinnacle. It is written in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Radha Pranaya Vikriti Ladini Shaktya Smad. The Ladini Vritti means the principle of bliss inherent in rasa and inherent in prema. Ladini Sara Prem, Prem Sara Bhav, Bhav Pamakasta Nama Bhav, Mahabhav Sarupini, Shri Radha Takarani. In Srimati Radhika, that prema is exalted to the position of Maranakya Mahabhav. It is untastable to Krishna because he's the Vishai of that love. But he desires to taste it. So the culmination of the 8 pairs of Yugal is when those 8 pair of Yugal, through the transformation of prema, become one name called Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Understand? So everything is in Harinam. But what relation you have with Harinam, that comes in Diksha mantras. Jiva Goswami explained what is Diksha, Divya Gyanam Yanto Shimanti Mantre, Bhagavad Sarup Gyanam Tena, Bhagavad Sambandha Visesh Gyanangscha. It gives Visesh Sambandha Gyan. Understand? There is Samanya Sambandha Gyan. Jivara Surupaya Krishna and Nitya Das. Everybody is the Das of Krishna. This is called Samanya Sambandha Gyan. What kind of Das am I of Krishna? That is called Visesh Sambandha Gyan, and that is embedded in the Rahasya and the Dhyan of the Diksha mantras. Sometimes devotees quote one statement that the Diksha mantras, written in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that the Diksha mantras, they enter into the life of a devotee at the time of Diksha, and then at the time of the devotee's siddhi, it retires. So we're using English parlance, but actually one sannyasi called me and asked, Mukunda, so how do you explain? So does it mean that the Diksha mantra is no more needed, etc., etc.? No. I explained to him that actually here, it means that the Diksha mantra, which was acquired at a certain point of eligibility, right? Diksha kale bhaktagone atma samapan. At a certain stage of eligibility, Diksha kale. By saying the word kale, it means there should be some eligibility to receive Diksha mantras. So we know that generally Guru will give Diksha mantras when a disciple has demonstrated some maturity in sadhan bhajan. Srila Prabhupada said they should be following all 4 regular principles, etc., chanting at least 16 rounds. You understand? Following the principles, attending Mangalarti, doing sadhan bhajan, etc., etc. You understand? But Diksha kale bhakta kale atma samarpan. So real qualification for Diksha's efficacy is atma samarpan at the time of saranagati. Prahlad Maharaj told you have to do saranagati to practice bhakti. He enumerated the 9 elements of bhakti. Then he said, Iti pumsalprita Vishnu bhaktas chinnavalakshana. You have to do pumsalprita, you have to do saranagati. Saranagati is both the doorway and the first anga of bhakti. Guru Parasraya means saranagati. So he says here, Diksha kale bhakta kale atma samarpan, say kale Krishna tare kare atmasan. At the time that the devotee does saranagati, then Krishna makes his atmasam with Swarup Shakti. Understand? First by Prabhav means influence, then by a boss in the stage of a Shakti, then by Taratma in the stage of Siddhi or Bhavavast. Understand? So those devotees who may not be so familiar with terms, everything like that, you can find in our writings. That's why our Goswamis have spent so much time to write these things. So don't be, Srila Prabhupada said, don't be lazy in the matter of studying these things. Right? This is what bhakti is. Bhakti is also not just gathering information. So don't think, oh, I'll study many, many books, because it's also written, Nayamatma Pravava Chena Labdya. No, Namedasa Bahusutena. So don't think simply by erudition you'll get bhakti. Right? So you study the things for application. You understand? To understand better how to apply my practice. How to become intentional in the practice of sadhana. So Diksha mantras are necessary because these Diksha mantras then give relation to the holy name in a special way. Visesh Sambandha Gyanangscha. Not only what particular relationship you have, but what particular form you have that relationship with. So Diksha mantras are indispensable in this way. You understand? Alright, let me try to move on. And Prabhu, if there's any other question regarding, you can write. I'll either directly respond, or if you want me to respond in this form, I will do it. Next question. I saw your article on what it means to be in ISKCON, and it seems you accept it means following Srila Prabhupada. So how can it be followed from another organization? Additionally, you mentioned that if a devotee is seen according to the organization, it is like racism. Isn't that a little bit extreme? So I wrote an article from a particular experience I had. I thought it was a healthy way to cathartic that particular experience. I've spent more than 45 years in the practice and association of devotion, and for most devotees, we all practically, especially in the Western world, came through the auspices of Srila Prabhupada's mercy and Srila Prabhupada's mission. And in my own particular case, I mentioned I started attending the temple in 1972 in Brooklyn, joined the ashram on a break from college in 75, in New Dwarka, went back to school, and then after school in 1979, I rejoined the ashram and went on a one-way ticket and $10 to Africa to serve Srila Prabhupada's mission. And spending that time there, we made so many devotees, distributed so many books, pioneered so many temples and projects, as well as other devotees, and then continued serving. I never gave up serving from that perspective. I was very fortunate to meet my Sadguru, and this is related back to the original question. I met my Sadguru in 1986, and then had the chance to have communication with my Sadguru, again, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnu Pada Paramiksa, Astotara Sata Sisimat, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. I started to write him again, I think it was 1991 or 92. I pulled out the blue aerograms the other day. Gurudev used to write back on these little blue trifold aerogram things. And I remember spending so much time being cautious to open it, so I didn't tear it anyhow. Right? So I think that was 91 and 92. And then Gurudev had no plan to come to America, and I had just started working as a law enforcement officer in 1990, so there was obviously no prospect to take a long period of time to go to India. But anyway, in 1996, Gurudev came and just solidified the eternality of a relationship we've had eternally, right? But I never stopped the idea of doing my service. Gurudev was residing in Vrindavan and traveling periodically to America, but I never had any idea that I'll stop doing whatever services I was doing or anything else related to Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada's mission. It was the dynamics of the institution at that point, for whatever reason, whatever kind of changes or dynamics were going on, that they made decisions like that. And if you look in the case of most people, nobody intended to stop doing pujari work, cooking, cleaning, book distribution, preaching. Everybody was doing the same thing they'd been doing, perhaps re-inspired, reinvigorated if they had taken Siksha or Diksha. Many devotees who had gone through a crisis of faith to some degree or another. I didn't have that experience really. But some devotees did, because they took initiation, and by the obvious investment of heart that you place in connecting with Guru, they became disappointed when that person did not live up to the standard of Guru. Right? I've told many devotees they should not be overwhelmingly critical or angry, because there is an interplay here also of karma, that somehow or another that particular devotee may have started with very good intention to continue the service of Srila Prabhupada in that mold of being Guru. I certainly believe, from what I observed, I was present at the time, that there was some victimization of Guru Abhiman, because, if you were with Srila Prabhupada from day one of his arrival in America to his samadhi, that would have been at the most 11 and a half or 12 years. And we've all been practicing now, many of us, 45, 50 years, and you have to check what level of realization has come only after 45 or 50 years. How much realization had come in 11 years or 12 years? Now, I will attribute that, yes, bhakti is an eternal process. What iteration a person was picking up from, we don't know. Therefore, they may have been super advanced. Or it could be that maybe people got out ahead of their skis and took the position of Guru and drank a great degree of the allurements and sort of external features that came along with that, and it victimized the tenderness of the creeper that was growing in bhakti. You understand? That also could have happened. Either way, instead of anger, remorse, and so many things, we should have faith that it develops the deeper sense of love for contact with Sadguru. You understand? And therefore Krishna in all of his mercy then sends Sadguru. You understand? So, the point I was making was that having been confronted with a situation which I had never really experienced. I mean, in 1993, some of it came about when the different controversies were going on. But I also really at that time didn't pay so much mind to it. I was so focused on trying to move forward in bhakti that I didn't give much credence to it. And I also was independent because I had my own independent economic platform and everything else. I was not dependent on the economic platform of the temple or anything like that. But many devotees were, and that was a very devastating thing for a lot of devotees who, based on searching out their inspiration, their existence was sort of pulled from under them. Under what ideal, I don't know. Anyway, point being, I wrote the article saying what then does it mean to be in ISKCON? Because, as I mentioned earlier, who really gave up serving Srila Prabhupada? People only followed Srila Prabhupada. If you look at Adi Leela, chapter 1, text 35, Srila Prabhupada quotes the Bhakti Sandarbha of Jiva Goswami, that when it comes to taking initiation, one should not take initiation based on social, hereditary, customary, or ecclesiastical considerations. One has to take based on genuine inspiration coming from the Harikatha and example of that particular guru who the aspirant has some attraction for. And then by mutual pariksha, mutual examination of guru and sishya, a bond is formed like that. You can't artificialize, if that's a word, that process, and you can't institutionalize that process. It is a genuine heart-to-heart process and has many implications beyond even our current situations. So you certainly can't bring it into the material platform and relate it to the particular karmic status someone has. Oh, well, in this particular karmic iteration, your bhakti samskars guided you and you came and you joined in this group, and now you have a loyalty allegiance in this group, and if all these things start to come in, then bhakti is not present. You understand? And therefore, again, the possibility of the arisal of aparad, hanti, nindanti, vaidveshti, vaishnavam namninandati, grujate, nohashinam darshane, pattanani sat. The possibility of falling down due to aparad, of harming a Vaishnav, blaspheming a Vaishnav, failing to welcome a Vaishnav. You understand? Maintaining envy towards a Vaishnav, being angry towards a Vaishnav, being unhappy to see a Vaishnav. All these 6 things are causes of Pattanani Sat, means falling down. And some people think falling down means that some gross deviation takes place in their lives. A fall down means not getting bhakti. You understand? Aparad means apagatta radha iti aparad. It means going against the very nature of what is praying. Radha is the embodiment of praying. Going against that principle. That's called aparad. Not getting the results of aradhana, worship of Bhagavan. You can go through the motions, but the realizations will never come. Ever. You understand? Never ever. Until that mood is rectified. You cannot... The very first aparad in Padma Puran spoken in the 10 aparads is Vaishnav Ninda. You understand? So, you cannot think that I will get bhakti, I'm practicing bhakti, right? And this is the nature of how aparad will work. Aparad will actually make you think, yes, bhakti is going on. See, many projects are going this, that, but your own inner realization of your swarupa is not happening. It's because aparad is present. You understand? So I compared it to give a more pictorial example to racism, because in the particular case that I mentioned, by the grace of some devotees, I'm not mentioning their names because I don't want any implications in any way, form, or fashion. One devotee I spoke to about a particular Zoom conference, because from the time of the pandemic, I've tried to expand preaching via Zoom and other media platforms. I obviously travel still and do things, but I tried to expand it using that technology. So there's a couple of classes that I have spoken on, ISKCON classes, other Zoom classes, and there was one particular class, I'm not even mentioning location, and the devotee arranged. He arranged with the organizer that I know a devotee, Mukunda Prabhu, and he likes to do Harikatha, do savor in this way. So that devotee called me. The devotee said, oh yes, I got it. So our schedule is filled for this month, but we will schedule you for April. And but in the meantime, please come on and listen to the flow of the class and so forth. I said, oh, certainly. And it was at a time which was suited to my own bhajan practice and everything. So it felt good. So I went on for, I think, 3 or 4 days. No, actually more than that. Maybe almost a week and a half or something. And it is my nature in Bhagavatam class to participate. So I would either ask questions, or in many cases I would give comments and, appreciate speakers, because speakers speak nicely. You always want to offer appreciation. So I was doing that, and on every single occasion, the devotee, primarily who was the organizer, spoke, oh Prabhuji, we so much appreciated that comment, or this particular insight, or this particular contribution. So maybe some days later, maybe like I said, a week and a half, that particular devotee called, and they rang my phone, and I was saying, oh, Haribol Prabhuji, and I was trying to get to the calendar in my phone, because I thought perhaps the call was about scheduling a date, and I wanted to make sure I had that date available to serve Srimad Bhagavatam. And the devotee began to say, Prabhuji, listen, I didn't know that you were a disciple of Narayan Maharaj, and our Zoom conferences for ISKCON only. And so he said, please, don't more or less, I'm paraphrasing now because I don't remember, please don't blame me, I'm just giving the message from the authorities like this and so forth and so on. So certainly I didn't hold any blame towards that devotees or actually anyone, because I feel that genuinely wherever I'm supposed to speak Harikatha, serve Harikatha, that will naturally evolve and that will naturally happen. And other than that, my practice is, a practice of trying to be more deeply internal, in the sense that everything that's related to bhakti life is arranged by Bhagavan. You understand? By Guru and Krishna. You understand? But at the same time, if I didn't address the principle, I would be remiss that I didn't take an opportunity to serve Srila Prabhupada's mission by illuminating possible avenues of aparad in this particular kind of mindset. So in order to give a pictorial example, I mentioned that if I had gone on to that forum and I had spoken in the same way for 3 or 4 days, and the devotee said, we really, really appreciate your contribution, really very nice. And then on the 5th or 6th day, I decided to go on visibly and put my camera on, and then the devotee called me that afternoon and said, oh, Prabhuji, we really appreciated your comments and everything, but we didn't know you were black. Or we didn't know you were a woman, if it's the case of a woman. Or we didn't know you were Jewish. Right? Just to stretch the extreme out. Because if you're Jewish and you're speaking such high class Harikatha, but your background is Jewish, oh, we didn't know you were Jewish. You understand? By assessing a Vaishnava according to a physical institution is the same exact thing. You understand? It is the same as mundane racism, or sexism, or classism, or anything else. Because a Vaishnava is a Vaishnava by their Vaishnavata. He's a devotee by, or she is a devotee by their devotion, not by their organization. Because then you'd have to go through every organization and say, well, the reason that we can say this is only for this organization is because this organization is absolutely pure. And there is no material iniquity whatsoever in this organization. And to keep it that way, we just only keep within the organization. Or what you actually are doing is saying, well, it's a white-only organization. It's a male-only organization. It's a woman's-only organization. Now, of course, I'm using material examples, and in certain material cases, there may be applicable, obvious reasons why something may be male or female. I can't see the reason why it would be black or white or class. But, in a spiritual context, there is no basis for that. Because we're not operating on the basis of the platform of the body. And exactly what's happening is that there's an association. Your body belongs to that institution. So we're not seeing you by what is the quality of your Vaishnavata, but by where your body is affiliated. And of course, in my own particular case, I'm affiliated by the instructions of my Guru with my Gurudev. My Gurudev directly told me, you didn't come here to join another organization. Not only myself, many times he said this in public, but certainly many times he said this in our grouping when we would go to see Gurudev. You didn't come here to join another organization. You came here for my association. Anybody who's associating with any kind of high-class Vaishnavas has gone for that association. They didn't go to get a t-shirt and name tag, the International Society of Association with that Vaishnava. You understand? So, therefore, I did not believe, according to answering your question, Prabhuji, that it was extreme. I thought it was rather a poignant way to make a point, because it is exactly that gross of a perception. You understand? And it is also a portal to aparad, without a doubt. Right? So I did not take any offense, but the ideal is a portal to aparad. If you can ascertain that a Vaishnava is either aparadi, mayavadi, siddhantically incorrect, you can correct it. There are many devotees on any divine class, like many devotees used to write and say, Mukunda, you're living in Alachua, some devotee wants to come and speak at the Alachua temple, Sangha, so forth, so on, right? What do you think? My friend was, if he's Vaishnav, she's Vaishnav, then they should come and speak. If there's any siddhantic irregularity, then many senior devotees are here, they can make correction. My Guru Parapadma operated on that principle. If anybody came from any institution, yes, they speak some Harikatha. You understand? Sing about John, speak Harikatha. If there was anything siddhantically to correct, Gurudev would speak in the audience with that person there lovingly. Oh, but according to Rup Goswami, according to Sanat Goswami, like this. This is Vaishnavata. This is Vaishnava behavior. Understand? Okay. Last question. What is pusti marg? They say it is the same as bhakti, and so how so, and who started it? Pusti marg relates to the sampradaya of Vallabhacharya. Vallabhacharya was a contemporary of Sriman Mahaprabhu, and I spoke a little bit about this yesterday in my Zoom class. He was very dear to Mahaprabhu, actually. And Vallabhacharya, if you read in Chaitanya Charitamrita and so forth, there are many pastimes of Mahaprabhu and Vallabhacharya. Vallabhacharya then developed his own sampradaya, meaning that there were followers of Vallabhacharya who began, following bhakti according to the way that he preached. And there are many tenets there. One is called pusti. Pusti means nourishment, or the path of mercy or kripa. So it is very much akin to raganuga bhakti as taught by our Goswami Varga. Understand? Part of this question was, so that's where pusti marg. If you want to know more about it, you can research the Vallabh Sampradaya. And it will explain more about pusti marg and so forth and so on. There are many interesting correlations here. Of course, our Madhavinda Puripad, right, when he came to Jatipur at Govardhan, and he had the darshan of Shri Krishna, and then of course, he drank milk. We know that whole story. And then, of course, Gopal comes back and tells him, oh, my Thakurji, the deity of myself, has been buried in this place for a very long time. Please excavate the deity and begin my worship again. Madhavinda Puripad gets all the villagers, they excavate, they build a temple on top of Govardhan, etc. And that deity is Gopal deity, but that deity, after some time, was turned over to the worship of the Vallabh Sampradaya, right? And that deity is called Sri Nathji. Later, of course, by Muslim invasion, it was moved to Nathdwar and is still worshipped today. But so there's connection even with Madhavinda Puripad and Vallabhacharya and the Vallabh Sampradaya, so forth and so on. But anyway, you can do research, see the connection. As far as pusti marg and raganuga marg, they're very much the same. There are some nuances, how they understand the seva of Radhakrishna Yuga. There are some nuances, right? They don't account that there are different kinds of sakis. They have the idea of saki bhav and seva, but they don't account there's priya sakis, pran sakis, nitya sakis. They don't account these differentiations and so forth and so on. They also don't so much accommodate the idea of separation. They think of Nitya Kunja Vihar, Nitya Kunja Vihar Seva, always serving in the Kunj. There is no separation, anything like that. So there are some variations like that, but that's a deeper aspect of the conversation. But you can look up the Vallabh Sampradaya. Now, of course, in Vallabh Sampradaya, they call him Vallabha Acharya Mahaprabhu. You understand? So many devotees have come with different ideas. Did it come from the association of Mahaprabhu? Do they think he is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? So forth, so on. So there is a Pushti Marg temple here in Florida, maybe 45 minutes from us. I did go down once, this is some years ago doing research, and I talked to the priest at that time, and he mentioned that the name Mahaprabhu refers to any great Prabhu. So Vallabhacharya they call Vallabhacharya Mahaprabhu. Okay? So, the last part of the question was, when does the practice of raganuga bhakti take place? So, raganuga bhakti in our line is the practice itself. Mahaprabhu told, Sakale jagate more bhari bhakti brajabha paiti nahi sakti. Right? And also, Aishwar ganite sakale jagate more Aishwar ganite sakale jagate more Mashri, Aishwar Shaitila Prem, Nahi Moha Preet. That if you worship Bhagavan according to Vaikuntha Bhav, means with Aishwarya everything, it minimizes the ability to express intimate affection towards Bhagavan. Like in our Damodarastakam, Iti Drikswalila Virananda Kunde, Swagosham Nimanjandam Ayang Payantam, Tadi Yeshita Geshur Bhattara Chitatvam. Satyavatmuni is saying, make it known to all the devotees who are worshipping Bhagavan and Aishwarya. He cannot be conquered like he is by Maya Yashoda, by Subal Sudam, by Gopis. He cannot be conquered like that by this kind of Aishwarya Mayi worship. You understand? So in our line in general, because the deities our Srila Prabhupada established, the deities of Radha and Krishna, and when it mentions that they should be worshipped like Lakshmi Narayan, it does not mean with the mood of Lakshmi Narayan. It means by the standards of worship. Cleanliness, punctuality, right? Anything that we have, because in the Western world it's so opulent, take all of that opulence and offer it at the lotus feet of Radha Krishna or Mahaprabhu or Gaurnitai or Krishna Balaram, right? But the mood is not to be like Vaikuntha mood, because then it would be Rasabas. You can't worship Radha and Krishna as Lakshmi and Narayan, because they're two different kinds of moods. You understand? And Srila Prabhupada is completely, who knew what when Srila Prabhupada came? So Srila Prabhupada wanted, he could have established the deities of Lakshmi Narayan. From our perspective, what difference would it have made? But he established the deities of Radha Krishna, especially Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jagannath Baladev, Subhadra, all related to the same kind of Leela. In some unique situations for preaching, he established the deities of Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman. You understand? But the primary establishment of all the deities of Srila Prabhupada were regarding Braj mood. You understand? So this worship of Braj mood cannot be accomplished by Vaidhi Bhakti. So already Raganuga Bhakti is inherent in the very practice. Now, eligibility to synthesize with that fact comes in the stage primarily of Ruchi. Right? So, adoshara tata sadhu sangha. Right? First one has to have some faith in the practice. When they have faith in the ideal of bhakti, they approach a sadhu. That faith is reposed at the feet of a sadhu. The sadhu then reciprocates by giving bhajan siksha. You understand? Receiving bhajan siksha, then the aspirant receives the inspiration coming from the kriya shakti, element of swarup shakti. Swarup shakti means the internal spiritual energy. So the kriya shakti is the power that allows us to practice devotion. Ata Shri Krishna namani nabhavad grayamindriya sevamukhi jivado swayameva spratyada. We don't have in our own sensory capacity the ability to practice bhakti. That's a subsidy coming from Guru. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he wrote, Eka kiyarama nahi paibo harinama sankirtane. I have harinam, but I don't have any power to practice it. Therefore, Krishna said to Mar Krishna dati paro tomara sakati ache. O Vaishnava Thakur, you have Krishna and you have the ability to give unto others. So ami tu kangal in madness. Ami tu kangal. Krishna Krishna bole. I'm chanting Krishna in desperation. Daya tava pache pache. But in your anugatya. Daya tava pache pache means to run after something. Right? So he's saying really it's an expression of how to do deep-hearted anugatya to a sadhu. Yeah, I'm running after you doing deep anugatya to realize this nam that I have. You understand? So we don't have that ability. Bhakti Sandarbha also is mentioning that. Jiva Goswami thinks Anuched 144 of Bhakti Sandarbha, that everything in our sensory capacity is subsidized by the potency of Bhagavan called Kriya Shakti. You understand? So by doing bhajan, Kriya Shakti comes. It's through Kriya Shakti the power to give up anarthas is manifest. So the removal of anarthas, anarthani vritti, that stage is happening by the power of the Kriya Shakti of Bhagavan. We're witnessing it. By witnessing it, it creates a deeper attachment to bhakti. Wow, how powerful. For unlimited lifetimes, I've not been able to give up this material connection. But by the influence of this bhakti, wow, faith is such a powerful thing. Shraddha. Shraddha anupaini vajam bhakti unmukhi chitta vritti visesh. What is faith? Faith means the power given through Krishna and Guru to remove the vaimukata, means the looking away of the jiva from Krishna to Maya, to turn it back towards Krishna. That's an extreme power. Because the 11th canto Bhagavatam says, Anadya Vijay Yuktasha Purushasha Vedatmanam Swato Na Sambhavanti. You don't have that power yourself. Anya, it requires another. Gyanatva Ganadobhagat means someone who's realized and who has the mercy or merciful disposition to give you that transcendental realization. Forgive me, I'm still getting over the whole COVID battle here for the second time here. But by mercy of Guru Gauranga devotees, I'm over the worst part of it. Actually, everything is feeling better. Of course, my good wife is getting down with it now. So anyway, but you don't have that power. So the Kriya Shakti in bhajan subsidizes the devotee's ability to practice. When that happens, then the anartha is being removed. Nischalaya yashaiti nishta. The chitta, that means the vrittis in the chitta. They're like the functions of the chitta. They're agitated either by the modes of material nature or stimulated by the Swarup Shakti, means the internal spiritual energy. So there's that interim period between the removal of the material influences, a dominant force, and the opening of the floodgate, so to speak, or the opening of the holes of the flow of spiritual energy. In that position, the chitta becomes very steady, placid. Now, when you are doing your spiritual practices, the Kriya Shakti gives a taste of the love dini and the samvrittis of Swarup Shakti in incremental stages. First by prabhav. Prabhav means by influence. This is expressed in the verse in Bhagavatam, Sattam prasangam amaviyasam vidobhavanti rit kananarasanaya katha. So in the first line it says, Sattam prasangam mamaviya samvido. Sattam means a sadhu. Jiva Goswami says sadhu means Sadnoti Sadayati Cha Krishna Premiti Sadhu. who understands the goal of life to be Krishna prema. It's called sadhu. Prasanga means, in Sanskrit, pra means prakrishtarupain. Sangha means anugamana, right? Samyak anugamana. Samyak means completely, with body, mind, heart, mood, following that sadhu. And the sadhu, being a sadhu, when the two come together, that means when the aspirant with the heart of dedication, three kinds of anu are mentioned here. Anu means to follow, that means to practice. Going Mangalarti, chanting Harinam, fixed number of rounds, chanting Diksha mantras, serving Taki, following the process, right? So anu meaning, anugatya meaning following. Anu meaning continuous, not breaking, deviating sometimes, this thing, that thing. Trying to follow continuously. And anu also means like anu, like atom in Sanskrit, means very small. So in this context, it's an inference to anutva or humility, considering oneself insignificant. Having those three qualities, hearing the Harikatha of a sadhu, true sadhu, mama virya. Srila Prabhupada brilliantly translated this as hearing the powerful activities of the Lord. You understand? So the Sanskrit here gives indication that within the Harikatha of the descriptions of the pastimes of the Lord is Shakti, power. What is that Shakti? It is called Swarup Shakti, in the form of Samvit and Aladini. Right? So in the verse it says, when you hear Harikatha under this auspices, means prasanga, then that Shakti is able to come through. Bhavanti rit karana rasanayakata. It has a power that it does not need to be checked by the material influences of your material samskars. Bhavanti rit karana rasanayakata. It penetrates and goes to the heart. Bhavanti rit karana rasanayakata. So it enters the heart. Most material knowledge enters the ear, causes a stimulus. That causes an intellectual database search for what kind of value this has towards my enjoyment. This is rag and desh. And then the mind does acceptance or rejection based on the outcome of that database search by the intelligence. It's not that kind of information. It goes straight through to the heart, just as Prahlad Maharaj was able to hear in the room of Kayadu, because it was not checked by any material circumstances. The Samvad of Nard. It went straight through to the heart of Prahlad Maharaj. So in the same way, in Prasanga, it goes straight through to the heart. But then, when it touches the heart, the beauty of that katha resonates and the ear appreciates it. Bhavanti rit karana rasanaya katha. And it functions in two ways. When before the devotees mature, it's rasayan. Rasayan is a tonic, like a medicine in Ayurveda. So it helps to purify the chitta. And when the devotees somewhat mature, it is tasted as rasa. You understand? That ability to taste is called ruchi. Right? Tatat bhavadi madhurya shruti dirapekshate nasa sasana yukting stata lobat utpatti lakshanam. So I've given many times, this is a very long video actually, so I may have to try to wind down. But I've given an example before, what is actually ruchi in a pragmatic way. When you first came to the temple, when I first went to temple in Brooklyn in 1972, the devotee invited me back. I went initially to buy books for my uncle. I told this story before. He told me that on Sundays they have a feast. So I'm coming back. Right, so I came back on the Sunday, and among the preparations at that time was so many different things. But I remember pakoras, halava, and I think it was malpur maybe. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And breadsticks, which were cooked by Bhaktivinoda Prabhu. Right? But anyways, I'm going to bring out the point about halava. I had never, pakoras you can kind of analyze. Vegetables fried. There's some similarities in the material world. I'm not making any comparisons. Right? And the breadsticks, you kind of, there's an experience of that in the material world. But the halava was a unique kind of thing because I didn't know if it was like a breakfast cereal type of, I couldn't really digest what this was. But that did not stop me from, yes, I'll take seconds. This is called ruchi. Right? Now, I'm not saying if you eat a lot of halava, you're in the stage of ruchi. So let's clear the platform. What I'm saying is that it did not require tat tat bhava adi madhure sruti dhira pakshate. It didn't require the implication of my intelligence in order to appreciate that the halava was good. It was a good experience. I didn't have to analyze what was it composed of, what was the process for formulating it. Intelligence nor information content wasn't necessary to appreciate it. In the mature stage of practice, to hear Harikatha, when you're chanting Harinam, then organically there's a ruchi in that. Because the influence of Samvit Shakti and Aladini Shakti are present. You understand? And therefore gives rise to a taste. When your bhajan practice is on that level, then it is possible in the stage of ruchi with Sambandha Gyan to more deeply practice in raganuga sadhana. Don't think raganuga sadhana is something different from what you do. If you're not going Mangalarti now, you're not doing any sadhana. So you won't suddenly be doing raganuga sadhana by doing something else. Raganuga sadhana is in the Mangalarti. It's in Harinam Jap. It's not something different. The goal is what differentiates Vaidhi Bhakti from Raganuga Bhakti. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explained this in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu. Shravanam Kirtanandani Sastra Sashana Bhaina Attaha Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti means the practice of Bhakti with the Sastra Sashana means fear of punishment or fear of not obtaining the goal, which would be Vaikuntha Bhav, right? Fear of that, the Sastra punishment or not obtaining the goal of Vaikuntha Bhav, practicing under that auspices, that is called Vaidhi Bhakti. You understand? So don't think here that every Vaidhi Bhakta, the entire Sri Sampradaya, and everyone else is simply practicing in fear of something. Right? It's just an idea that there is an attention to the vidhis of Sastra as the means by which I can obtain this goal. You understand? Of Vaikuntha Bhav. In Raganuga Sadhana is mentioned, Shravanam Kirtanandani Vrajinda Nandanasya Seva Prapti Lobhena Attaha Raganuga. Raganuga means loathe. That greed that I want to obtain the service of Vrajinda Nandan Shri Krishna, which is unattainable by Vaidhi Bhakti. So Ashrama Prabhupada used to sometimes speak, you have to practice Vaidhi Bhakti to come to Raganuga Bhakti. Here the word Vaidhi Bhakti means the following of vidhis. You can't practice any kind of spiritual life without vidhis. How will you practice bhakti if you don't chant? How will you practice if you don't have Takaji Seva? How you practice if you don't do Guru Padasraya, etc.? So there's no question of practicing without any vidhis. If that's the case, what is it? Shruti Smriti Puranani Pantratra Vidin Vida Akantagi Hari Bhakti Utpatyeva Kalpate. It becomes simply a disturbance. Or Sahajyavad. It's not really bhakti. You understand? So, your own practice that you're doing currently, Raganuga in the stage of ruchi becomes a deepening of that practice. Because there's taste in the practice now that's not dependent only on Sastra and Sastra Yukti. Means the logic and the tenets of Sastra. The greed. Krishna is dancing Raslila Vamsivat Satakoti Gopi with billions of gopis. But I've been to Braj, I've been to Vamsivat. How billions of people can fit in this? Yes, that the look for that logic does not come. Because the overwhelming taste of what is the Raslila, Rasa Sumati Rasa, right? I'm not explaining Raslila here. But what is that taste? Oh, that comes. I'm not looking for the logic of how a billion gopis fit at Vamsivat. If you want Siddhantic idea, of course, Braj is expandable. Right? In Sastra, our Acharyas mentioned, Braj contracts and expands according to Leela Shakti. But that does not matter at that point. In raganuga sadhana, the lobe, for the nature of the lila itself, is prominent. It also does not mean suddenly you become sastra sunya, no more sastra anything. It doesn't mean that. It just means the dominant inspiration of your forward movement is in lobe, it's in greed. You understand? These things should be explained to devotees too, because sometimes more immature devotees ask about it, and when it's spoken of in a discouraging way, they don't know what to make of it, and then they're scarred in bhakti going forward. You have to explain it in such a way. Here's how the maturation levels work, and at this particular stage, in earnest, the practice comes. Right now, everyone is practicing raganuga. Not everyone. People are practicing raganuga pravritti, the progressive path towards raga. Because nothing in Srila Prabhupada's program is in Vaidhi Bhakti truly. Let me explain what I mean. I already just gave some description of Guru Ashtakam. If you take the Tulsi Stuti in the morning, O Vrindai, Tulsi Devai, Priyaye Kesavasacha, Krishna Bhakti Pari Devi, Satchavachai Namonama. O Tulsi, please give me the benediction, right? That you will make me, you yourself, a very dear servant of Radha and Krishna. And if you have some knowledge how Vrinda Devi serves, she is the Leela Shakti of the Madhurya Rasa of Radha and Krishna. How you'll couch that in Aishwarya Bhav? It won't be possible. But you're asking Vrinda Devi, yes, I also am offering my stuti to you. Ye tumara sarana loy, taravancha pura hoy. I'm doing saranagati to you, Vrinda Devi, because I have vancha, I have a desire. Mora e abhilas. Oh, Radha Krishna seva pavo e abhilasi. I want the savor. Like you're serving Radha Krishna, I want the savor of Radha and Krishna. Mora e abhilas. Vilas kunjiti ovas. No. Radha Krishna seva pavo e abhilasi. Mora e abhilas, vilas kunjiti ovas. I want to serve the vilas of Radha and Krishna. E nivedena dara sakya anugata koro. How? Make me in the anugatya of Radhika Sakis. Radhika Sakis mean Parma Presta Sakis. Lalita Visakha, Tungavidya, Induleka, Sudevi, Rangadevi, etc. Those who serve them are called Manjaris. Headed by like Rup Manjari, etc., etc. Ananga Manjari, but Ananga Manjari is Varagopi, not Manjari, but she like heads Manjaris. You understand? But the head of our Manjari gun in aspiration is Rup Manjari. You understand? So, we're praying to Vrinda Devi every day. Can I have this aspiration? Understand? So, there's nothing in Srila Prabhupada's program which is really geared towards Vaikuntha. It is geared towards Vrindavan, and Vrindavan Seva can only be obtained by Raganuga Sadhana. Understand? We just have to have mature ability to explain it out, and so devotees can follow nicely from their particular adhikar. Because Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, if you try to jump adhikar, be problematic. Adhikar na labhyate siridaya bhave, viparyo smriti shaktira bhave. Viparyo means everything will be flipped upside down. If adhikar is not there, then things will become confusing. Right? And you'll try to artificially impose material bhokta abhiman, means material enjoying tendency in the transcendent experience, and therefore it'll obfuscate any real enjoyment. Because there's only one Purush. Only one Bhokta. That's Krishna. You understand? So if you have Bhokta Abhiman, how you into Braj? So you have to first give up Bhokta Abhiman. Understand? Means you have to give up first of all false ego. Understand? And therefore, in giving up false ego, it means giving up the idea that I am Karana and Karta. Ahamkara means Aham, I am the Karana, cause, and Karta, doer. Hence, I'm entitled to be the Bhokta, enjoyer. Of course, this is false both materially, Prakriti Kriya Manani Gunai Kamani Savasha, Ahamkara Vimuratma Karta Mitimante, and it's also false spiritually. Krishna is Bhokta, and we are Sevak. When that attitude is impressed, then you can be awarded with Karana and Kartata, means the ability to cause and do things in relation to Seva. But it will all be dominated and guided by Swarup Shakti. Because in perfection, the Atma and Swarup Shakti become one. Right, I spoke yesterday, the two verses of perfection in our sadhan is to obtain bhav, Suddha Sattva Viseshatma, Prem Siyangsa Samniva, Ruchi Vishchittamat Sunya, Kriso Bhavuchate, Avyabhuya Manovrito, Vajayate Tat Sarupatam, Sarupatam, Swayam Prakash Rupopi, Basamana Prakashavat. So in Bhakti Rasmita Sindhu, these verses there describing the stage of perfection. One describes the descent of Sarup Shakti and the melting of the chitta, means the chitta vrittis related to Ahamkar. The following verse describes how Sarup Shakti takes over. Vrajayate Tat Sarupatam means that the Sarup Shakti takes over the chitta vrittis. So the chitta vrittis function only in accord with Sarup Shakti, or the internal energy of Bhagavan. Understand? And therefore, one can then be karta because it's only guided by Sarup Shakti. Okay. So I think, hopefully, this was for one couple, the last question, and hopefully I've given some explanation here. My Dandavat Pranam to devotees who are listening, and for those, I have not read all the comments, obviously, so forth, so on, but praying for all devotees, please give me your mercy to continue to serve Shri Guru and Gauranga. I do have other questions to catch up on, but I'll try to do that over the course of days as I'm getting better and better. I my Dandavat Pranam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripashinduvevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Jai Radhe Radhe.